Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
Max and friends, he says what he wants, ain't holding nothing back. Got the recipe for life, and he's inspiring. He's not scared of any topic, from sextile to gossip. Listen and to hear what Max is to share. LA Talk Radio, this is Max and Friends.
LA Talk Radio on all podcasting platforms. This is Max and Friends. I'm your host, Max Tucci. Welcome back to another Max and Friends. If you're joining us for the first time, where have you been? We're here 14 years and counting. And yes, I'm going to ride this Communicator Award train for just like a couple more episodes. So bear with me. It's pure joy and gratitude to all of you. We won here 3 more Communicator Awards, which means that we're at 6 now for Max and Friends. And this year we won Outstanding Host for a Podcast, Outstanding Spiritual Episode, and Outstanding Musical Episode, or episode with music, I should say. It wasn't like we were all singing here, the Max and Friends musical. It was a fun episode with music with Kimberly Joy. Speaking of music, tonight, you all have been tweeting me and Instagramming me at Max Tucci, and I'm so grateful for that because you're asking about the song Ancestors. And that's why I wanted to bring it to you because it's an amazing song. I love Alicia Latin Soul. The song is everything. Ancestors. Today we're going to talk about guides. Are your ancestors your guides? Or is nature your guide? Are birds your guides? Are trees your guides? Are you your own guide? What guides you into this now moment? Where are you in this now moment? Because what I know for sure is that where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. So let's take a minute just to be in this moment. And like this, tonight's going to be a life class. So let's clear our minds and just take a beautiful breath. The exhale. I've never seen a movie called Take a Breath. I've always seen the movie Waiting to Exhale. Why are we waiting to exhale? Exhale in this now moment. The breath is beautiful. I promise you that. And the exhale is magical. So when you exhale, really focus on the exhale and consciously breathe. Notice your breath. Notice where you are. And notice that you've been guided to this moment right now. Why do I keep saying the word guides and guided? There's a new book, Sacred Stories, Common Sense. I'm part of them with meditation. And the book we're going to talk about today is with my guest, Marilyn Alauria. The guest guides mystical. This I love. You ready for this? Write this down, everybody, and then go find it. Buy it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, where you find it. Guides, mystical connection to soul guides and divine teachers. By Marilyn Alauria, Alauria. Now, who have been your teachers? Who have been your divine teachers? Who have opened up your heart space and you just looked and you're like, thank you for teaching me because we're all still learning. Where are you in this life of learning? All we can do is wake up and learn. We can wake up and do nothing. It's duality. It's your choice to live the life you want to live. And no judgment. It's your life. Enjoy it. And what I'm going to say is there's ways to enjoy it by tapping into guides and teachers and nature and just time, the illusion of time, but numbers. Recently I've been guided by numbers. I wake up now and I start a journal with when I wake up. If it's like 5:18 in the morning, I then look at what does 5:18 mean. And every time I wake up, there's always a time with a new time and a new lesson. And it's just beautiful through numerology. How I'm guided into my day, waking up at a certain moment and acknowledging that moment and putting those numbers into motion, I'm able to then navigate through my day. So it's just a practice that I do. And if you want to be inspired to do it, I encourage you to do it and tweet me at Max Tucci. Let me know how it works for you. And I want you to go right now to get the book Guides, Mystical Connection to Soul Guides and Divine Teachers. because it's going to open ways and introduce you to recognize what a guide is and how they work with you. Through stories, techniques, and tools, you'll develop a relationship with guides and begin a co-creative journey to your dreams, says Dee Wallace, actress, author, and healer. But speaking of authors, there's a beautiful author joining us tonight on Max and Friends, or this morning, or this afternoon, depending on where you are. And Marilyn kind of like has done it all. She's experiencing life in such beautiful ways, was a producer for big networks, and now she's an author. She's on the side of really understanding guides, and understanding mystical connections, and understanding soul guides. And she's here tonight on Max and Friends to help us guide us through life, these next moments, each moment, each breath. So welcome right now to Max and Friends, the author of Guides, Marilyn Alauria. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Max. You and everybody, Max said so many things that we touch on in this book. Breath is one of the most important things to connect with your guides. I also want to say congratulations on all your awards. I could tell just by listening how much you love doing what you love to do. And you touched on numbers too, which is the symbolic language of our soul, and they are guides. So I know you and I are going to have an incredible time talking about this, and I'm really excited to invite people into this conversation. And the book is very experiential in the last part because I believe you learn by doing. And I'm excited for people to get this book into their hands so that they could have their experience with their guides and see how they support them in their life.
Absolutely. And so, you know, my listeners, our listeners, Marilyn Alauria is a gifted psychic medium, teacher, and coach with an unmatched capacity to ignite deep soul-level transformation for her clients around the world. As the creator of Soul Finder Academy, a membership for your soul, and host of the podcast, Who Can It Be Now? She offers a clear action plan for developing our talents, following our purpose, fulfilling our dreams, and living in alignment with our souls. And she can be found at MarilynAlauria.com. Speaking of alignment with our souls, I want to start there first before we get into the book. When your soul aligned to this life that you're in now, why do you believe you said yes to the genesis and to the creation of Marilyn Alauria?
That's a great question, and I don't know that I could full on answer that at this moment in time. I feel like I am incarnating the way that I am on this physical plane to help people to believe in their dreams that are in their heart, that they're not meant to be forgotten, and that we have this incredible, magical, unseen force that is guiding us and supporting us all the way. And I like to teach through story because I, like many of us, have had very traumatic childhood and have had many traumatic experiences in my life. And through those experiences, I came home to my soul. I came home to my alignment. And that's where I discovered my guides, and my gifts came alive too. I believe that everybody is gifted. So I believe that I'm here now, and this will shift and change as I grow and expand, but I believe that I'm here to help people believe that the dreams in their heart are meant to be lived, not to suffer, and you are not alone. There is always some unseen presence guiding you to your truth, to your magic, and our truth is so much more magical than we can imagine. That's the best answer I could give in the moment.
I love that, and that's just a transparent, true answer. We are here now in this moment, so that's the answer. You came from being an Emmy Award-winning career in the entertainment industry from NBC and NBC Olympics, and then you shifted your focus. Why do you feel you heard the calling, and when was that calling where you said, I have to shift?
Well, for me, the calling was first to act. I always wanted to be an actress. And when I was 5 years old, I remember telling somebody, they asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I want to be an actress. And I could feel her laughter besides the fact that she was laughing. I was a super sensitive child. I took it all in. I understood exactly what she was saying. I already had gifts, but I didn't realize what they were. And so when I got into TV, I went behind the scenes because I was too afraid to be in front of the camera. And while I was working at MTV and NBC, I was working on my psychological issues because I was going through a lot of PTSD and trauma. And the therapist suggested I go to an acting class, and I did, and I fell in love with it. So through my shifting, I shifted out of TV, I went into acting, And then my world kind of blew up. And at the same time, spirit guides started talking to me, deceased loved ones started showing up. And I thought I was losing it a bit, but I was in therapy for so long and they weren't seeing any type of chemical imbalance. You know, they were just seeing trauma and stuff. And through that experience of just living my life, I was really down. I was suicidal for a long time. And I realized through the help and the guidance, and then I met my guides and I learned I don't like the word purpose so much because I feel like it shifts and changes. I learned my alignment. I learned why I was here. And then I committed to being here. And that's where that shift happened. It was so much bigger than so that's it.
I love it. You know, and it's true. It's, you know, there's the heart virtue. And I think that's really what, when we say the word purpose, you know, like, why are you here? We have done so many shows over the 14 years of why are you here, instead of just realizing you are here, you know, and the heart virtue. What is your heart virtue? What is it that gives you joy, that gives you chills, that makes you want to weep in joy because you know you're fulfilling something you love? And that's what I think, to me, the definition of purpose is. So for you, a heart virtue, when you're in that moment and guides come to you, you know, and for those who are tuning in, my guest is Marilyn Alauria, and we're talking about guides. And if you think that, like, we're all just like here, like smoking on the peace pipe, like you all are kooky with your guides, and I don't believe in all of this, or maybe I do. Here's what I know for sure. You're tuning in because we're giving you a message. This is a guided message right now. Maybe this is that whisper that you need to hear, or maybe this is that 2x4 that just hit you upside behind the head and said, now hear this. No matter where you are in the curiosity of guides, we welcome you to this now moment to explore it with us, to take this journey in this time, in this moment right here now on Max and Friends, and just to open up your mind, your eyes, your ears, your heart, your soul, your voice, and be part of this conscious conversation. If it feels uncomfortable, you can go. If you want to stay, stay. But here's what I know. You won't miss any of it because you can find it on the archives after the show. So if it gets a little weird for you and you're like, I'm tapping out, we'll tap out with you. Have fun. No judgment zone. And with that said, when you reach out to us at Max Tucci, and Marilyn, how can people reach out to you?
Oh, they could go to my website, MarilynAlauria.com, MarilynAlauria, MarilynAlauria.com, and also follow me on Instagram. I'm more active on Instagram than Facebook. And they can go to Marilyn Alauria 1. And I love something you said, Max, that I do want to say. I love skeptics because I was super skeptical too. I was like, prove it to me. And man, did they friggin' prove it to me. So I actually am a very grounded medium. I'm not one of these woo-woo unicorn riding mediums. I really believe
no
that,
you know, lights, right?
yeah, not at all. Like we have to learn, like I'm sure you are too, super sensitive, you know. I have these gifts. We all have gifts. We can all open up to these gifts at any moment in time. They help us to live a more fuller life. And then I believe in practical stuff, like grounding it onto the earth plane. I'm not in the corners hanging out with the crystals or, you know, I'm talking unseen things, but I'm also bringing it into a normal conversation. Yeah. Or I'm playing on the tennis court and ignoring that part of myself because I want to live a normal life.
Yeah. And, you know, normal is such a loaded word, too, because the life you're living is your normal, you know. And for those who are playing tennis and who are hearing things and they're like, wait a minute, what's going on with my life? Is this a gift, right? Is this a guide? Is this grounding? Where are we in those 3 Gs, right? I mean, you know, we're in this 5G realm right now of technology, but we are in an infinite G of who we are and soul and purpose. So let's get into this because I know that when our listeners are like tuning in right now, they could be like, you know, what is really going on? And so conscious conversation, I welcome you all to it right now. So I appreciate you for tuning in. And here we go, because the book Guides, okay, is going to help you get through this. And we're going to talk about and explain what are guides. We're going to talk about gifts. We're going to talk about just everything that we can in this time and space right now. So with this journey, you said the word gifts, Marilyn. What do you consider a gift when we don't see it physically and tangibly? We can hold it.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because expansion of my definition of gifts has shifted. So we'll start with the psychic senses of seeing, hearing, feeling, sensing, knowing, clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance. There's so many psychic senses because there's smell, there's psychometry. There's just so many different psychic senses, that we experience. But I also think a gift comes in the form of listening multidimensionally, listening to someone, being able to heal people through your speech. I mean, you're a big healer through speaking, Max, right? So it's like, that's a gift to me, is that you are healing through that. So those are gifts as well. And I don't think we acknowledge them enough, and acknowledge them to the place of, like, for me, when I'm doing readings, and I only do them in my group programs now, I listen multidimensionally. But even while I'm listening to you in this interview, I'm listening multidimensionally. And what that means is I'm listening with my heart, with my soul, with my clairaudience, with my vision, with everything. And it makes it a much more dynamic experience for me in this world. And it's not linear. Nothing's linear, and nothing's like one dimension. It's so full of so much.
It is full of so much. And what's interesting too, it's like conscious listening. We talk about it here often with Gordana Biernat, conscious conversations and unconscious conversations, and conscious speaking and unconscious speaking, conscious listening versus unconscious listening. So when we consciously listen to one another, the gift of sound is really apparent and given. It's taking that moment to really, I hear you, I see you, and you matter. Validate that moment. So with the gift, smell you had mentioned, my father passed when I was 8 years old, and he always used to wear Aqua di Silva, which is like, it's a beautiful fragrance. And I remember, like, I would walk through certain places and I would just get like this waft of Aqua di Silva. And so for me, it was like, I love to say I am of the great I am. I am all that is. And so if I'm in this moment, if I believe that for the soul, there's neither birth nor death, that it's eternal and everlasting. When I get that waft of that fragrance, that essence of Aqua di Silva, what does that mean, and where does it come from?
Well, for me, for you, in that particular moment, or for anyone, it's our loved ones that are on the other side, or our guides letting us know that we're not alone. It's a comfort, it's a love, it's a being seen, it's an unconditional type of support that's coming through. But what also comes in with those types of moments is, what were you thinking at the moment? What were you feeling? What is Spirit trying to communicate to you at the moment? Because when deceased loved ones make their presence known, or we'll start there. When they used to come through me, it wasn't about like, thank you for holding my hand or feeding me chicken soup. It's more about, yeah, thank you for that, but what about your life? How are you going to move forward in your life? And I feel like that smell is reminding you of this beautiful connection. And I also feel that you're capable of creating a relationship with people in spirit that transcends time and space and what we knew in the physical. That relationship can get even stronger on the other side. So that's how I would describe it.
For those that are listening now, I feel this so deeply in spirit, where you just said the relationship can get deeper.
Yeah.
Expand. Let's take that one step further. Expand on that, because there's so many people that we've done shows on grief throughout the years, and what I've learned is that people will always believe something sometimes until it happens to them. And then it's like, no, I can't talk to the other side. No, I can't have that relationship with, my father who passed. No, I can't have that relationship with my brother who passed. So how do you introduce that relationship to those who might not believe that there is one after death?
Yeah. I was talking to somebody recently who lost both her parents at a young age, and you losing your dad at 8 years old. I mean, that's really hard. And I said to her, she'd been wanting to talk to her parents. And I said, you have to understand, you have to let go of what they were like on the physical plane, because who they are today, when we pass, this is what I know to be true. When we pass, our consciousness continues to elevate and to grow. So if somebody was having a struggle or a difficulty with believing that they could connect with someone else on the other side, they're a little bit stuck in the grief and they're frozen in time, but they're also not giving the person they love an opportunity to help them from the other side. Their consciousness is continuing to elevate. Your consciousness, they want your consciousness to elevate. And then the two of you come together in this relationship that doesn't look like anything you had on the physical plane. So when I explained to this woman that, I said, your father may come through, your parents will come through, but in the beginning, they'll sound like what you knew them to be, just so you could feel them and understand them. But then the conversation should go into something higher, because your father is not the same person he was on the earth plane. That's my belief. So for me, what I would do is invite someone to say, wow, what would it be like to grow this relationship in a whole new way? And really give them an opportunity to show you what they can do for you now, or how they can help you now.
Absolutely. You know, I feel like right now we're breaking a lot of patterns and pathologies for people who, you know, have been told certain things throughout their lives, like this is this and that's that, and there can't be something more after this. Here's the gift. The gift is whatever you believe to be true will be true.
Yeah.
It's that simple, you know, and it's like for that minute, holy shit, I was just transported somewhere else because that wasn't even me speaking. But that's for you all. Whatever I just said, you got to play it back because I don't remember. But back into radio mode. I'm your host, Max Tucci. My guest tonight is Marilyn Alauria. I don't know, like this whole time, the illusion of time, Marilyn just kicked in, and I feel like we've been speaking for like 2 hours. But here we've got to get into part one of the book, Understanding Guides, where you share important foundational wisdom. I just got to take a breath, girl, because there is so much going on in this space right now. I don't know if you feel it, but I feel it here just like tremendously. Like there is like a huge golden door. This is what I'm envisioning right now. And there is just like every ancestor that I know like knocking on the door right now. I'm like, you all, I hear you. I see you. I love you. You matter. Just bear with me for a minute. So, part one of the book, where we talk about understanding guides, you share important foundational wisdom on what soul guides are, how they connect with us, their purpose, and how they answer the questions inside of you and help you remember who you are and why you are here. We recently did a show with Isabel Marr, where it says you are not a thought, and you are definitely not your thoughts, right? So we are here right now to help you remember who you are and why you are here. That's what guides do. So let's break that down. The part one, understanding guides. How do we understand them if we don't sometimes even believe in them?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about that is the way that part one is written out. It really, I think a lot of people are going to be super surprised what I consider to be a guide. It's like how you started out this interview. Max said, you know, when I wake up in the morning and I wake up at 5:18, I look at what that number means and I journal about it, or I know it's helping me through the day. That's a guide. Planets are guides. Animals are guides. Your grandfather's a guide. You know, we have guides everywhere. And I feel like when you get to choose, I love what you said, you get to choose what you believe to be truth, because none of us really, truly know what happens on the other side when we leave here. So we're here to decide for ourselves what is true and what's not true. And it's fun to play in the field and let it grow and expand with you. So even if you don't believe in guides, when you read this part of the book, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I never thought about that. But that butterfly was like following me during the most difficult time in my life. And that was a guide for me. So guides are everywhere and everything. And then there are certain spirit guides that we can call in that become our team that really help us to make choices and decisions. And it's not just about the airy fairy, like I'm not airy fairy at all. So it's like, I have a marketing guide. Tell me how to market things. And he would like, tell me what to do. And I'd be like, oh my goodness, that's genius. So we could have anything, a love guide, a health guide, you know, to help you through stuff.
Absolutely. And a friend guide, you know, and a thought guide and a breath guide and a sight guide. And it reminds me of this quote from The Color Purple, when they're in the field and Celia and Shug Avery are there, and Shug says, I think it pisses God off when you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. It's noticing.
Love that.
It's noticing that color purple. What does that mean in that moment? It's noticing that little ladybug that just came by your shoulder. It's noticing that spider that might be in the window. Instead of freaking out, what is it teaching you? It might be a sound that you hear. It might be a breath that you take. It's about noticing. What are you noticing right now? And I hope you're noticing this show, and I hope you're noticing us, because we're here to help you understand guides. The book is out right now. Go get it. Guides. Marilyn Alauria. We're going to talk about ancestors. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about part 2. And if we have time, part 3. If not, maybe you'll come back and join us. I feel like that's what we're going to, because this can't be just a part 1 to this live class. There's too much to discuss. And the illusion of time is there. And I know that when we just get into conversation, I know when the show is really like got its energy, because I start to sweat, and I call it, without love, I call it a spiritual workout. And it's like my working out, because it's like my heart is opening up, saying to people, like, there's more than what you believe. And here's someone who believes what I believe. And here's these guides and our ancestors that are like just saying, acknowledge me, notice me. So what does the word ancestors mean to you, Marilyn?
It's interesting for me because to me, they are definitely the people in our lineage of this incarnation today. So they would be the people in my lineage. But when I tap into the word ancestors, and I'm so curious what you think, Max, to me, it's consciousness, it's energy, it's belief systems, it's breaking patterns, it's creating new patterns. I feel like I can tap into that energy, and I can think about the grandparents that did something outside the norm and took risks. And I can jump into that risk right now. And here I am with my first book, and allow that to feed me and propel me forward. And then I could look at the ancestor who struggled, and I can break that pattern inside myself and educate myself. So to me, ancestors are a little bit different than how somebody would be an expert in the field teaching it. They are wisdom, they are knowledge, and they are also an opportunity to shift and change and expand and grow. So I'm not one of those people that believes that I have to cut this lineage, I have to heal this lineage. I feel like, because I don't feel like time is linear, I feel like it's all happening at the same time. I feel like if my grandfather, who I never knew, would come into readings and he was a businessman, I didn't want to close that door to his amazing wisdom that he wanted to bring to me in the moment when I was growing my career as a medium, when I was becoming this. And this ancestor was showing up to say, do it, do it, do it. Our ancestors in the physical may have not believed in what we do today, but in the spiritual, they believe in what we're doing today, and they want to support us. And I love Maya Angelou said, when we go out on stage, we bring all of them with us. That's the stage of our life, and that's beautiful. I'd love to know what you think, and I know you have a beautiful song about this, so I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, and this song is all about ancestors. What I think and what I believe and what I know, let's take it even further, what I know is ancestors are DNA. They're in me. It's part of who I am. I am of the great I am. And if I am of that, and so are all that is, therefore all that is in me, and therefore I am every ancestor into this moment, carried with me through this like thread of just beauty, of love. Ancestors are love. It's creation. Creation is love. And so for me, ancestors are, they run through my veins. It's my blood. And ancestors, physical ancestors that once were, they say there's living ancestors that are dwarf-like and 400 years old. And I'm sure they're out there in this world of ours. And ancestors who are of our family, of our legacy, of our generations, of our loved ones. Physically, they might not be here, but it's all energy. We're all created of energy. And so this song that we're going to play is one of my favorite songs about ancestors. And there's a song that says, Father, come guide me. Mother, come guide me. It's about being a guide. Ancestors are our guides. This song now by one of my favorites, Police of Latin Soul, is beautiful. It's a journey through ancestors. It's a journey through guides, as is the book we're discussing tonight on Max and Friends, Guides by Marilyn Alauria. Take this moment now to just think of all those that are no longer physically with us and acknowledge them for energetically being with us. Guides, ancestors, now on Max and Friends.
Oh, I will not fear. I will not fear, no, no. Guide me, Father, come find me. Find me, Mother, come guide me. Show me, Father, come show me. Lead me, Mother, just lead me home. Father, can you take me to a higher place so I can meditate? I'm feeling so lost, but you paid the cost for my survival. Trying to be born again, forgive me for my sins. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Na, na. Guide me, Father, come find me. Oh yeah, find me, Mother, come guide me. Enséñame, show me, Father, come show me. Oh yeah, lead me, Mother, just lead me home. Mother, will you guide my way? Help me to elevate my mind. Ancestors, will you guide me? Need you to find me. Help me to make my way. I want you to stay and bless me. This I pray, oh this I pray, oh this I pray. Guide me, Father, come find me. Enséñame la luz. Find me, Mother, come guide me. Enséñame la luz. Show me, Father, come show me. Quiero ver la luz. Lead me, Mother, just lead me home. Guide me, Father, come find me. Find me, Mother, come guide me. Show me, Father, come show me. Quiero ver la luz. Lead me, Mother, just lead me home.
Lead me
That was
home. Guide
beautiful.
my way. Elevate our minds. Wasn't that beautiful, Marilyn?
That was stunning. Amazing. What a beautiful song.
What a beautiful song. Yeah, Felicia Latin Soul, man. That's how you find it. We were at a restaurant in Denver, Colorado with my buddy Ash Ruiz, and she was working there, and it was Ash's birthday, and she came over to sing, and Ash and I looked at each other like, wait a minute. You can't, like, where does that come from? And then she's like, well, I was like, what other songs do you have up your sleeve? And then she sent me that. I was like, oh, girl, we are playing that on Max and Friends. And by like in the last 3 weeks, it has just been so requested that it was perfectly guiding us to this moment, to this show. I believe it was a portal to this show. And so that we can help people. Part one, understanding guides of your book, guides. So we talked about, before we went to this song, understanding guides and how they connect with us. So how is it that someone right now who's listening says, how do they connect with me?
Yeah. Well, it's they connect with you in many different ways, but one way is definitely through repetitive numbers, through repetitive symbols. You keep seeing the same numbers over and over again. That's them trying to get your attention. You keep seeing that butterfly or the ladybugs, or you're noticing squirrels out your window. It's exactly what you said, Max. That's how they're communicating to us. Or it might be a feeling that we get, or a cold breeze, or sometimes when they're touching you, it could feel like a feather falling on your arm or a piece of hair falling down. they connect with us in so many ways. They connect through our dreams. You may have a dream about a guide and not even realize it. They are everywhere. They connect through people too. They'll send a message through a physical person, and that's how they do it. They can call your name, and you could turn around and nobody's there, and they're just speaking to you. Or when my clairaudience, clairhearing started opening up, I'd hear whispering and people talking in my room, and the TV would be unplugged, and I'd be turning off the radio wasn't on, and I was like, what's going on? And they were just trying to get my attention.
Yeah. And then once they get the attention, what is their purpose?
Well, it's interesting. The purpose is that we live our truest light. They are direct reflectors of our soul. So they are doing work on the other side, wherever they are, as much as we're doing work. So it's a co-creation. It's a co-creative relationship. When I bowed down to my guides, they bowed down to me. And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? And they were like, well, you're helping us as much as we're helping you. And what they've taught me is they're literally like holding a mirror up to my wisdom, to my soul, to my truth, to my alignment. And they're helping me to get there. And they want us to live in as much love and joy as we desire. And also the bumpy roads, the bumps in the roads, they help us navigate that. It's not like don't have your feelings, don't have your emotion, at least the guides. And I teach this stuff. I've been teaching this for over 15 years. To people around the world and about it. And they help us, that moment that felt really hard or atrocious, so that no that you received, they're like, that no is a yes in disguise. We're helping you to move into another direction. So that they are here to help us live our greatest life.
Absolutely.
And our truth. Yeah.
Now, when you say you teach this, you have courses, Live and Thrive with Your Psychic Gifts and Communicate with Your Soul Guides. Tell us about these online courses.
So the biggest one that I would suggest people check out is called Membership for Your Soul, because in Membership for Your Soul, we teach how to communicate with your guides. But I also invite teachers from around the world to come in and teach material, because I'm not an expert in a lot of areas. I don't believe in astrology. I don't follow it. We have an astrologer in there that taught a class, because just because I don't believe it doesn't mean that my community is not going to excel. I don't really teach about crystals. We have somebody come in there and teach about crystals, because really when you get in communication with your guides, my goal is to have people open up all areas of their life and to really explore, because the more you learn your instrument, how your instrument works, what works for you. So membershipforyoursoul.com, they can go there, and we have a $1 trial for people to try it out for 30 days. It's got a lot of live components where people can practice. I'm very strict about community in terms of it's a very safe atmosphere. I create very safe communities, so people really thrive in that. But we also have courses on my website as well if you want to just do one-offs and try them out. If you use the coupon podcast for my digital courses, you'll get a big percentage off, because I have a podcast too, Who Could It Be Now? And so I like people to test me out, and see what they think.
I love Who Could It Be Now? So walk us on an episode of Who Could Be Now. How does the show operate?
It has different components, but it's basically I tell my stories of my crazy, wacky stories of me meeting guides and dead people and all that kind of stuff, because I think it's funny and you have to find the humor in all of it. But mainly what my goal is to teach through story. So one episode might be me telling stories. One episode may be me taking you through a guided meditation as I'm walking in the woods. But what I'm doing, I don't like to lecture. I like to bring people into the experience with me and have them, those guided meditation ones that are on there, people love, because then they're like, I don't know how that happened, how I saw and got answers for myself, because my goal is to teach people how to get answers for themselves, to not need a reader. That's why I don't do private readings anymore, because people were coming to me vulnerable and handing their life in my hands, big decisions. And of course, as a reader, I was answering them, but I got to a place where I was like, you could do this for yourself. So, and then I interview people and interview the teachers for Membership for Your Soul. And we also do these fun pod parties where you come on a Zoom call in a group of people and I teach you something. And then I do readings and coaching. So that's what goes on. It's a party.
I love it. How can we find it?
So it's on all major places. Who Can It Be Now? It's on Apple, Amazon, I believe it's Spotify, all of them.
Yeah,
as far
all
as I know.
podcasting platforms. It's funny.
Yeah.
For years and years and years, we started out here at LA Talk Radio as internet radio, and then it turned into podcast. And then it was like, publicists were like, I don't want to put anyone on a podcast. I remember those days. And it was like, you would never say you had a podcast. And now it's like LA Talk Radio and all podcasting platforms. It's like, who would have thought? But it's a fun journey. It's a fun journey. Speaking of journey, guides, as you say, Marilyn, help you remember who you are and why you are here. How do they do that?
That's such a big answer, but by reminding us what we love, what our joy is. That would be my first answer. So we get so jaded by other people, whether you have parents or peers or people telling you can't do something or dreams forgotten or you tried something and you failed at it, whatever is the thing. They remind us what we're passionate about. They remind us what we love to do. They remind us our joy. And they do that through different means. It could be through the symbolic language of your soul, which is symbols, repetitive symbols coming to you. It could be them whispering in your ear. It could be that dream you have. It could be that beautiful friend that comes in and just says something magical to you. And you're like, oh my goodness. It's that when your heart beats and you just feel that, like just talking with you, Max, I had this heart opened experience because I could feel how heart open you are. You're just this beautiful individual. And that's what they do for us. They remind us that what our joy is and to live our joy. I gave you a lot of answers in there, so hopefully
I love it, but and whatever resonated most for whoever's listening, that's your answer. There's life has a million answers if you really need them, because life also doesn't have any answers if you believe that too. There's that beautiful duality. It's like the Alan Watts concept of like everything matters yet nothing matters. And it's just, where do you find yourself in this kaleidoscope of life? So I knew this was going to happen, the illusion of time. So would you join me again so we can talk about part 2 and part 3 of your amazing book, which is called Guides, Mystical Connections to Soul Guides and Divine Teachers, right now from Common Sentence. You could find it on all of your favorite places, from Amazon to Barnes & Noble to, I'm sure, your website, MarilynAlauria.com. So will you join me again so we can continue this conversation? I love it.
I would love it. I would love it. And I also want to interview you. So there you go. I want to hear more about you.
I'm available, so we'll make it work. You tell me when. I'm available. We say here on Max and Friends, the first time you join us, you're a friend. The second time, you're family. So I look forward to having you here again. We'll make it work so that we can coincide with next week's episode to match part 1 of tonight's episode. We're not going to leave you hanging. If you're curious and want to know more, we encourage you to reach out to us. Me, Max Tucci, and Marilyn, yours one more time on Instagram is where?
Marilyn Alauria.
All right. It's that simple. So, you just have to want to say yes to the moment of being curious. I love this saying, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Be satisfied in your curiosity. Don't just stop being curious. So next week, we'll talk about part 2, which is mystical connections to soul guides and divine teachers, and part 3, which is deepening your connection with your guides. To be an injustice and minimize this conversation to just leave you with, here you are, peace out. We want you to really deepen your connection with your guides. So today was the introduction. We gave you milk before we gave you the big dinner. We have to be gentle. We have to be gentle. So with that said, what are some things what is it just you feel right now in your soul, in your spirit, in your everything that you want people to take with them into this now moment?
What I would love for everybody to do before you go to bed at night, just set an intention of something you'd love to know about. Maybe it's a question you have or you want to expand in your career. And I want you to do is just speak to your higher self or just speak to your inner self, whatever feels comfortable to you. But you can even say it out loud. I want to know, blah, 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 blah. And then when you go to sleep, have a nice sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, notice how you feel. Just notice how you feel. A lot of times people can't remember their dreams. Notice how you feel. And that is going to take you on a trajectory to get your answers. Trust me. So I'll leave you there.
I love that there. And I love that we can, expand our thought and think
Yeah.
a little more. This is what I want you all to take with you for this now moment, for this afternoon, for this evening, for this morning, wherever you're tuning in. I see you, I hear you, and you matter. I'm going to say it this way. I fucking love you. I do. There's no other way to go about it. I call myself a spiritual gangster and I drop the F-bomb and everyone's like, because here's what I know. I can relate to all that is because I am all that is. And so, and I don't say that to be like, this egotistical. No, I say that to say that I see you. Intimacy, I like to break down as this. Into me see. And I see into you, and I want you to know that. And I want you to know that you are all loved. I do. I send out so much love right now to you all. Look at yourself, encourage yourself, hug yourself, embrace yourself. Give yourself the pat on the shoulder that maybe you never got. And here's what I know that I want you to do. Listen, observe, open your eyes, your ears, your heart, your spirit, and look for the guides that are constantly around you. They might come in a million forms, but you are that form. Acknowledge it and notice it. I love you for tuning in. Until next time, take life to the max. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, and good karma. To my guest, Marilyn Alauria, thank you so much for joining me on Max and Friends. We got to go, so it's time to say peace. I love you for tuning in. Good night.